Hey everybody, and welcome back to Grounds Family Farm. We have left the farm and are headed to the Southwest Arkansas Homesteading Conference down in Nashville, Arkansas. Initially, we planned to leave this morning from the house, which means we would have left around 5 or 5:30. But we had some storms coming in or rain, and we didn't want to drive all that way. There's too many miles to drive to take a chance on getting stuck in a wreck or traffic or anything like that. So we looked and we had some extra points for Best Western and actually stayed in Hope, Arkansas at the Best Western.
Yep.
Not the greatest accommodations, but it was clean and it put us about 30 minutes from where we were going. So we were super thrilled about that. And the best part, it was free since we had points.
Yep.
So we're headed out to this conference. It's put on by the state's extension office. Looked like they had a lot of great topics. They didn't put out who the speakers were, but it covers like cheese making, different homesteading things. It's got some stuff about the NRCS programs, which is Natural Resources Conservation Services, which is some government funded stuff for like cost sharing things.
Yeah.
It's the program we use to put up the high tunnel. So if they got some new ones, we thought it might be a good idea to hit that one up. And lots of other things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got actually some of my family that'll be there to meet us, and they're going to go to the conference with us. So really excited. The girls are excited because they get to see their cousin Lindley and get to see Mimi and Pop Pop. So really looking forward to this. And lunch is provided, so that was really cool too. And they had a gluten-free option. So
yeah, we'll see how that works out.
yeah, hopefully it works out good though, because that would be really nice to not have to leave for lunch or anything like that.
Well, I don't know that there's time. They do have concession stand and stuff, but it only like check-in and registration's at 8 o'clock, which we should get there right before 8, and it actually starts at 9 and goes till 3.
Yeah, so it's not too long.
It's only 6 hours, but they have a lot of sessions. They've got some vendors set up, and it looked like there's going to be multiple sessions going at the same time, so I'm not sure how we're going to split that up. Hopefully it'll be stuff that either we don't want to see both of, or we may have to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Also not sure how much filming we're going to do, because don't really know the setup of this, because we've never been there. Plus, it's not like a YouTube type thing. It's definitely just like a state-sponsored educational event. So,
but if we can, we will. Because I figure it'll be good.
Yeah, plus that way we can go back and remember, because I didn't bring stuff to take notes.
I actually did.
Okay, well, somebody was prepared as long as we go to the same spot.
Yep. All right, but we'll see how this goes.
Yep, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I hope.
Yep, I bet it will.
Okay, we're going to pack this in here. We're going to use canning salt, or you can use kosher salt. Do not use salt with iodine. I have used this Morton's table salt. I thought today for the jar this might work. One of these little pampered shelf things. Sometimes when you use bok cabbage, it's not got enough, it's too dry. And you have to make that brine, and so.
So when one bacterium gets in a food product, it doesn't take it long for it to really cause havoc. So remember, we need water for the activity. We're just taking the water out. So one of the things too, and I had to learn this early on, we don't want to cook our foods. We're drying it. Vegetables are not recommended for drying outdoors and must be dried to a higher temp or to a greater degree, because fruit has acid in it and sugar, and those are two things that help to preserve food. So you want to look for no moisture. If you squeeze the fruit, you want it to be pretty hard so the moisture don't come out. So squeeze it and just kind of inspect it to see. You don't want it to be sticky or tacky, because remember, that's a sign of moisture. One of the things with drying vegetables, remember I said it didn't have a whole lot of sugar in there, and it doesn't have a whole lot of acid. So with vegetables, you want to, number one, select a high quality. So you want them to be nice.
When you're doing coconut oil, this is the best. I went and bought me an ice cream scoop after using
That's for your coconut
because
oil.
I kept breaking spoons
Yeah,
and bending them
I
trying to
bend
dig into that coconut oil. Ice cream scoop.
So are you gonna be using both the olive oil and the?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
You have
just
to
right
have
now.
liquid oils and solid oils to make the soap.
I'm just melting the coconut
Yeah.
oil to get it to where it can mix.
And we can go ahead and add this in. And this is a super easy recipe. It's 3 ingredients. And you're wanting it almost like a cake batter. These two, I can use this with. I just got this and I love it. And it's got this little thing here where you can adjust how big you want your loaves. But if you use this, then you got a ridge.
Here, common brooder problems that we see. Okay, so on this for these examples, you know, the 1s and the 2s, those are like our feeds and waters, but the big circle of 4 is our heat source. Okay, so in the yellow smiley faces, all the chicks are kind of scattered around. If you're envisioning this in your head, they're kind of mingling in and out. But there's no real pattern to it. They're just kind of roaming freely, doing their own thing. Don't haul disease home. So if you travel for work and you have to go to a poultry farm, or if you're a duck hunter even, and you're down and you go down, and if you go over to like Stuttgart or somewhere and you drive out there, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but run your car through a car wash because you can run over some of those like goose poop with your tire, and those germs are still on your tire. Then you bring it on your premises, it can get into your birds.
So I have one starter that I made with this. I have one starter that I made personally with this, and then I have one with the whole wheat flour. Now the one with this one, so I can tell you this is some good stuff. This was ready that day. If I wanted to make bread that day, it was ready. Mine took, you want your starter to mature, and it takes around 12 days for that to happen. That's you feeding it every day, stirring it. You want it in the warmest part of your house. So also, when you do use your starter, let's say I'm making a bread and it calls for almost all of my starter. As long as there's some left on the sides, you still have enough starter to begin again. These are the pans. This is actually the pan that I use. It's a stainless steel, but it's covered in enamel. It's really easy to clean, which is one of my biggest things. Then when you're baking, put another one over it. And then I use a cake pan in the bottom of my oven, and I put ice in it. I fill it up with ice, put it under my bread while it's baking. All of that steam, because that one pan is bigger than the other, goes up, and that's how your bread is gonna rise.
Steaks, which depending how thick you cut them, whether or not they've got bone in them, it's gonna be 30 to 35 steaks. Then you'll get back ribs. You'll get a skirt steak and short ribs. You'll get flank steaks. There's only 2 flank steaks per animal. They're not very big. They're really good if you like fajitas. So, think about what you eat and be realistic. There's a lot of cuts on there. You think, oh, I could do that. But be realistic. How many nights a week are you really creative, looking for some new? If you're a foodie and you like to cook, ossobuco and shank and all of these other crazy things, by all means, get them. But the last thing you want to do is run out of ground beef and then open your freezer and there's a whole bunch of random cuts that you don't really know how to cook, and you're having to look up a way to cook them every night.
NRCS provides agricultural producers with one-on-one help and financial assistance to plan and implement improvements, or what the NRCS will call conservation practices. And vent side and end walls to manage temperature and humidity according to crop tolerance. So that was like I was talking about. You can roll those sides up or pin them up or something. They're still an enclosed plastic fabric, except they can use netting or shade cloth covered structure that protects the crop from sun, wind, excessive rainfall, and or cold.
So as you can see from the clips, this conference had a lot to offer. It was their first year doing it, so it was pretty neat to see how they initially had it set up. Had a few little kinks to work out, but overall I think it was a success. the way they had it done is they had 3 different speakers going at the same time in 3 different rooms, and they had 5 hours worth of speaking throughout the day. We kind of divided and conquered on some of them so we could hit what we wanted to get on it, and except for the first one, we both started out on food fermentation.
Yeah.
That I thought was pretty neat. The main thing is because I didn't know anything about it, and we'd never done it before, so I think I learned a lot out of it.
Yeah.
It's something that we definitely want to try. We did buy some stuff to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Probably try the first one on our own and then bring y'all along later on.
Yeah.
But, some of the stuff they did, like fermented vegetables. They showed you could do meats, but I don't know that I would trust that.
Yeah.
And then sauerkraut. That was a big one too. And I think I want to try that as well if we grow enough cabbage this year. We both went to it. Like I said, that was probably the most interesting to me just for the simple fact that I didn't know anything about it. The next hour we kind of divided and conquered. And we kind of swapped it up. I went to soap making. She went to dehydrating foods. The main reasons we made soap before, and I thought maybe if they had something new to do, I could do that. And she was interested in dehydrating foods, so we've got our food dehydrator. Soap making, it was really pretty basic. I don't know that I really got anything out of it that I didn't already know, but it was still neat to see the process and just see that somebody else is doing exactly or similar to how we're doing it. So with it was still a good topic, and if you didn't know anything about it, then you would definitely know after you were finished with it. How was dehydrating foods?
Dehydrating foods was great. I mainly went because, of course, we had the food dehydrator, and you know, it's something that we've worked with some and kind of gradually learning a little bit more about. But I was like, well, if there's more information I can get from it or some tips or anything that they can give, then maybe I can do that. And I got a lot out of it too. They're talking about the different things you can do, even some of their recipes like for fruit leather and things like that. And then also talked about kind of some vegetables and fruits that are good to dehydrate versus those that are not. So I really thought that was cool. And they had free samples at the end of class, which the girls were with me and they really loved that part. And it was kind of encouraging, I think, for the other attendees to be able to see that the kids actually liked it. So that was kind of neat too.
Yeah, they just didn't realize that our kids get that stuff at other times. So they're used to fruit leather and things like that that some kids have probably never even tried. For the next hour, I went to intro to backyard poultry. Main reason being is they were doing sourdough at the same time and barn quilts. I didn't care anything about barn quilts. And the sourdough, Kimberly was in it, and the line was full out in the hallway to fill up the classroom, and I didn't want to be that crowded. And backyard poultry was in the same classroom I was already at, so I had a good seat. But with it was the head guy over the 4-H poultry chain stuff that did that talk. It was a really, really basic class. Like, if all the chickens are huddled up under the heat lamp, they're cold. If they're spread out away from it, they're too hot. And if they're all happy little chickens, then they're fine. And talked about a few different breeds and stuff like that and dual purpose. Like I said, most of it was stuff that we already knew too, but like I said, it was still interesting to sit through. And then she sat through sourdough.
Yes, which I like. The one who was actually giving this talk, she's an extension agent in, I forget where, but in the state. And she was talking about, she bakes like 13 or 14 loaves of sourdough every single week, because they eat that much sourdough bread.
Crazy.
But then she was talking about all the different uses for sourdough and, you know, what to look for, you know, when your starter's still good, when it's not, you know, how to make it manageable even with busy schedules, which I also thought was very helpful.
Yeah.
And then she even gave her recipe and kind of how she's tweaked the main sourdough starter and bread recipes to work for them. And I mean, the way she explained it, I mean, it sounds like the type of bread that we would like to eat too. So even though it's not something I can eat with a regular starter, I mean, it's something I could do for them. And I feel like I got a lot out of it because it was a very practical talk. And it was somebody who, I mean, does work and, you know, an outside job too, plus, you know, managing the household and all that also. So that was really neat.
The next hour was the lunch hour, which they provided lunch. It was part of the ticket price to be able to go to the event. It was we had pulled pork. It's pretty good. They did offer a gluten-free option, which was great for Kimberly. And then the 1 o'clock hour, there were 3 different ones. There was buying protein, forages, and intro to canning. And I picked buying protein.
And I decided to go too.
The main reason is because I wanted to be in the class after that, and I wanted to have a good seat. And they didn't have any explanation to what they were talking about buying protein. It just said buying protein is what it is. So I'm like, is it protein for animals or what? Well, turns out it was talking about like butchering live animals and like what to expect. Because like a lot of people think that if they take 1,000-pound cow to the slaughterhouse that they should be getting 1,000 pounds back, and they don't realize that you lose the skin and stuff like that, all the parts that they remove. And then once you get to the cut up step, if you have like a lot of boneless stuff, you lose even more. And so they're showing like percentages, like I think on the cattle, like around the 1,200 pound range, it was like 62% of the hanging weight, which is the carcass weight, is the live weight. And then like 60 or 61% is actual cuts after that. So really out of a 1,200 pound cow, you're getting like 30 something percent or maybe 40. I think it's upper 30s. And so it's just mainly like whenever you're raising these things to sell, being able to explain that and make sure that your consumers understand that if they're buying a whole or half beef, that they're not actually getting as much as what they think. And that way they don't think they're getting shorted on the back end, understand that. And also it was talking about like your percentage yield will change or vary a lot based on your finish weight. Like if you butcher a cow or calf that's 600 pounds versus one that's 1,200, you're going to get a whole lot less of that because the bone ratio is a lot higher in that than the meat ratio. And so it's just mainly talked about that. It talked about pigs some and then sheep a little bit and things like that. And we also, one thing we did like is the person that was teaching that also raises show lambs. So that's a contact for us in a month or two because the girls are interested in possibly showing lambs, so we can at least talk to them about it and see. Forages, it seemed like an interesting one, but I really don't think that I would actually go foraging, or I don't know that I would, because my luck, I would think I had something safe and it wouldn't be what it looked like. So, and then intro to canning, we know how to can, and that class actually ran into the next hour too, which they didn't say that at the time, but the box was emptied underneath it, and so we thought everybody from that class was going to have to pile into one of the other two, which is one reason I wanted a good seat. And then the last 2 hours were the NRCS programs and soil fertility. Soil fertility, we know how to do soil samples and stuff like that. They might have been talking about more stuff, but wasn't really sure, so I wasn't interested in that. But I was wanting to hear about the NRCS programs, which that's the Natural Resources Conservation Services. And that's the programs like where we got the high tunnels and things like that. It's a cost-sharing program through the government. You meet their specs, and then they'll come out, approve, and then they'll pay a certain percentage of that, so you're not out so much money on doing that. I thought we might hear a few more, which we did find out that low tunnels are on there now. They used to not be. Well, that can help with like pest protection, things like that, which a low tunnel is just a small thing that go over like an individual road rather than a high tunnel. And you can actually use that in conjunction with your high tunnels. And so that was one interesting thing. It would have probably been a little more in depth, but the NRCS people actually weren't able to show up. And so it was actually the extension agent there who did a talk using their fact sheet. So a lot of that, he said you'd have to look later or go reach out to him. But it was still pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, overall, I mean, it was their first year doing it, like you said. And, I mean, they had a lot of local speakers, and it almost kind of set the way the topics kind of lined up. It seemed like maybe they talked to some people locally and kind of figured out what topics they wanted to hear, and then they just found some local experts or people who knew some about those particular topics to come and speak. Since, like I said, it was like an extension service type of program, but it was good. And I mean, they have plans for next year, and they were asking for a lot of feedback and all that. So
yeah, they actually put a QR code on the thing for you to check later, and you can give suggestions or anything that you might want to see next year, things they could do better. And another thing I really liked about this one is If there were any classes that you weren't able to go to, but you wanted information, you could put it out in their little survey sheet, and they'll email it to you later if you wanted that. So that was really nice, because some stuff that we missed: rain barrels, garden prep, flour milling, barn quilts, forages, canning, and soil fertility. So there was a lot of stuff we didn't get to see, but still a lot of stuff we did get to see too. So overall, we were glad we went. It turned out to be a real rainy day, so there's not a whole lot we could have done here at the farm anyhow. So it made good for a Saturday. Plus, Kimberly got to see her family, and the girls got to see their cousin, and it was just a good time.
It was.
Yeah, just guessing, I would say there was probably between 80 and 100 people there, just a roundabout guess. I didn't count or anything, and I didn't get any numbers from them. That's just me figuring out about how big the classes were and how crowded they seemed whenever I was in there. So I think, so for a first year, and like I said, all being mostly state people or local people, I think that was a really good thing.
Yep.
And I don't know, it might be something we do next year if they do it again or not, but I just really, it's nice that they put it on. It's a good asset to have in the area.
Yes, for sure.
If more places could do that, it'd help people learn a lot of these things. Because a lot of the stuff that they taught in this are things that are going to become forgotten if people don't start learning or teaching the next generation, because there's like a big generation gap from the people who did this all the time to where we are now. We're kind of getting back into the movement where more people are trying to learn this stuff, but I mean, there's a generation or two in there that didn't have all this, and if the next one down the line didn't get back interested in it, I mean, some of this stuff could end up being forgotten or just be something that's history. So we really enjoy that aspect, and we can learn it so we can teach our girls, and then hopefully they'll teach their children later on, and just keep passing it down the line.
Absolutely.
But now we got to get around and head outside and take care of some sheep issues. So stick around for that.
Yep.
Okay, so we finally got the meds in we need to get these little guys taken care of. So what we are doing is, for their health and sanitary purposes, their tails need to be docked on wool sheep. And also on Junior here, we are going to fix him. We don't need him as a breeder, and so we don't want him to take a chance on trying to breed some of the little ones or do anything else, and plus it might make him a little bit calmer than Rascal, so we figured that was best, because I'm not sure if we're going to end up keeping him or doing something else with him, but Abby's got in her head we're going to keep him, so we'll see how that goes. So what our delay was is we were trying to get in some antitoxin. Goats and sheep get a CDT shot which has tetanus. The T in it is tetanus toxoid, which is like a long-term thing. But whenever you're going to be docking tails, banding them, things like that, they need the antitoxin, which is like a quick, like 7 to 14 day, just to make sure they don't get sick over that time. And that's what we had a hard time getting. It was on national back order from the places we were checking where we got the CDT stuff from. So luckily I checked around and I found it at our local co-op. It was the last bottle they had. It's a 10 dose bottle, and you got to keep it cold. So what I did is I drew up the 3 syringes we would need for these guys and left the other in the fridge so we don't end up ruining the whole bottle.
Yeah.
If we were out here too long.
Look at that good mama.
Yep. So with this, it can be intramuscular or subcutaneously, which means just under the skin. We're going to do under the skin.
Keep y'all's hands back.
It's a 20 gauge needle, which is what they recommend for kids, and it's a 1-inch needle. Oh, it probably burns. I don't know.
He was good with that.
Okay, so spin around this way so they can see. Okay, for the girls, here, pick him on up higher. Okay, for girls, you want to cover up their girl parts with it and make sure that's covered whenever you do it. The white sheep, whenever we got them, they had banded them too short, but we did sheepy this length, and you look, you can see where the wool and the skin meet, and generally right in that area is a good place to do it, because I don't know if that has to do with the structural part of it, like the bones and stuff, or what, but that's what we're going to do, because that will keep everything covered, and then it'll fall. But like I said, whenever his falls, he'll still have everything covered after that. And this will take a few weeks to fall off, but basically what it does is it's a painless thing, and it'll just pretty much cuts the circulation off over time, and then it falls off. It's a pretty standard practice with sheep, so that's why we're doing it. And then with him, we're going to take away his manhood. It works the same way. You have to spin back around. Yeah, y'all got to hold up.
And on this, younger is better on this part too, right?
Yeah.
Both of these.
Well, I mean, you can do older, but you just got to make sure that you can actually feel that their parts are both there, because you don't want to get one and not the other. And if you can't feel it, he may need to wait till he's older. Like I said, I can feel one, but the other one, we're not going to actually ban him yet, because like I said, we got to make sure that they have both. You can fill them both before you ban them, because like I said, if you do only get one, then it can be issues later in another vet trip. So better safe than sorry. Like I said, you can do this when they're older too. A lot of people wait till they're a lot older. We were just going to do it because we were already doing the tails. So I guess today is just tails, and then whenever we get ready to do the other, we'll have to give him another tetanus shot then too. Unless he's had his CDT and then the booster for it, which will be in about 2 months before he'd run through both doses. Okay, he's done. You got one?
Oh, okay. Good job. Big bad sheep catchers over here.
Ooh, that wind is cold.
It really is.
Yep, turn it. There you go. That was probably the easiest way. Okay, here.
Oh no! I can't watch.
Okay, well, keep your hands back. Yeah, up around her head. There you go. Well, their skin's a little tighter. Here, put her foot down and just hold her head up to you. Not up around her neck, up around her head. There, a little bit. There you go.
Oh,
I just don't want to take a chance
Y'all
on.
are doing so good learning how to help with this.
I know.
And we'll let them calm down a little bit.
Oh,
wow, this wind.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to do it the same way. Like I said, on this, you just want to make sure that their growl parts are covered. If you go to where that wool meets the other, it's pretty.
Junior doesn't like it. You'll have
because that'll still be.
accessories. Nope. No. Oh wow. Nope.
That's about what Sheepy's looked like, I feel like, when we did it. So.
Like I said, I can.
And Sheepy was a little bit bigger anyhow. Because we weren't even quite sure if Sheepy's was gonna work just because she was so much older.
That's good. Okay, let me get these.
You ready to catch her?
Hang on, I gotta get everything ready. Oh!
Up! Catch her! You got her?
Don't let go! Don't let go! Oh!
She'll come back through. Here she goes. She's in.
Okay.
Get that baby. I think that baby.
You think it's...
Oh!
Did you get the right one, Abs?
Right one.
Is it? Izzy, do you want to hold her?
Yeah.
Okay, let Izzy hold. Let's spin her around though, because for some reason I like working this side better. Don't really know why. Okay,
whatever works.
Hold your hand under here and then take this one, and you're going to just hold her head up to you and support this one a little farther back. There you go. You can kind of see some of the problem here. The poop gets stuck on it, and that's why you get rid of their tails. Is to keep, like I said, for sanitary purposes.
Cecily, are you trying to climb that? Oh, you're so... One day whenever I came out here, I got on the hut and then Cecily was trying to get to me. With her legs.
Okay, let me make sure that's... Yeah, I think it'll cover good. Yeah, I think it's good.
Oh!
She rolled!
She's like, Mama!
But as you can see, they're both happy. They went to nurse, seeking Mama for comfort. And look at how wide Cecily is.
I know, she's gotten so big. And the other day, I was out here with her, and I could actually... Oh, yeah, look, you can see her babies moving sometimes.
Yeah, but also her bag is dried up now. So
yep. Which
it's
is
dried up nicely.
Exactly what we wanted.
Yes, so now she can focus on growing those babies, and then in another probably 6 weeks or so, we'll have some babies.
Woohoo! It's getting so close.
I know. I just hope they're all three healthy.
And adorable. I know they'll be adorable.
Yep.
They'll be adorable.
There's a possibility we will have to bottle feed just because there are 3, but we'll just kind of see what happens with her and how she produces and all that, because we've not dealt with triplets, but I've heard sometimes you have to help Mama a little bit. So.
Yeah, because it could be that we have to milk out for the smaller one, or whichever, if they're not getting in, go ahead and let them drink from a bottle. And if she doesn't produce enough, which I think she will, since she did well on her milk study, but
Yeah.
or test, whatever it is. But just one of those things we have to play out by ear, and that's the reason we wanted her to get plenty of energy to be well conditioned and ready for them.
Yep.
Oh, we got a food thief.
Thief, thief, thief.
He's like, you can see it.
Silly goose.
You got your own feed, Rooster.
I know. They just come and rob from literally every food pen on the property.
They just go pick out the good stuff, the stuff they like, and then they move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So I know that other feed we had, they'd always get all the corn out of it. Like if I left a bucket out waiting to go feed the animals, they'd eat all the corn off the top of it.
That's what they did the other day. I fed the chickens, and they came and followed me around everywhere, stealing feed as I went.
Yep. But Junior's over here eating. I'll walk around so he'll come back over there.
There they are.
Yep. So are these others.
They're just the cutest little things ever.
I know. I'm ready for more.
Yep. I keep waiting any day now because those white sheep in the big pen are getting bigger and bigger. So
yeah. Hopefully it won't be long.
Yep.
But as you can see, it's a pretty simple process. They're doing fine afterwards. And like I said, in a few weeks, they'll have short tails.
Yay.
But we've still got some other chores and stuff to take care of. We hope you enjoyed getting to see our trip to the Southwest Arkansas Homestead Conference. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was the first time, so a few little kinks to work out, but overall, it was a good thing and we enjoyed it.
Yep.
Plus, we got to see some family.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I think now we're fixing to go get somewhere a little bit warmer and wrap this one up. So we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye, guys.
Bye. Peace. Peace. Bye.